Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Well, to be honest with you, when I was watching that particular episode 13, I was thinking about how some of the subject matter was dated, but yet still plays today. You know, kind of like the affair that Brian has with Kip, which takes place at work, which nowadays, after the Me Too movement.
Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, host of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room Arts and Culture podcast. If you haven't, please take a second to rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please make sure you're following us on Spotify or Apple. And did you know we have a YouTube channel? Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really means a lot. You can actually see a lot of our video episodes on YouTube. And if you don't want to listen to any ads that are going to happen throughout the episode, even though I love all of our sponsors, of course, you can listen to our ad-free episodes on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And right now, you can get 1 week for free to see all of the ad-free episodes. And all of those episodes are also video episodes. So you can get to watch me, the guest, and you can also listen to all of Mary's True Crime and Academia episodes ad-free. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Andrew Rimby. Welcome back to the ITBR Rewatches Queer as Folk, episode 13. So I'm so excited to be joined with someone I've known on Instagram a while, but haven't actually met virtually. I'll consider this real life right now. It's a suspension of real life. So I'm joined with actor, producer, director, writer. I can't wait to pick his brain about his like film producer mind with Queer as Folk. I'm sure he has a lot of takes, hot takes, hopefully. Jonathan Yaskoff, welcome to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Well, so
It's nice to
first,
finally be here.
yeah, well, before we jump into the Queer as Folk metaverse, I just want to ask you and pick your brain with my Real Housewives love and listening to your episode on Brandy Glanville's Unfiltered podcast. I think it's called Make Me a Movie Star. And I know she asked you a lot about like your relationship to Adriana De Moura. And I'm just curious, did you know Adriana like just from the artistic Miami scene? Like when did you actually meet Adriana?
Well, to be honest with you, all of the girls on the show are really friends of mine in real life. So Adriana was, she and I have been friends for probably about at least 12 years, right from the beginning of the show. I first met Alexia, Marisol, and Adriana, and we just sort of bonded. And for some reason, Adriana and I became very close. I put Adriana in a film called Apollyon, where she plays a psychiatrist. She did a great job. And I was also best man. Well, not best man. I was a man of honor at her wedding, which was one of the finales on Real Housewives of Miami. And the producers of Real Housewives loved it, the fact that they were going to have a gay man as her man of honor instead of a, you know, bridesmaid, or what do they call maid of honor? So that was really fun. And yeah, she and I we're close. I mean, she's one of my best friends.
Yeah. So what do you think of this newfound partnership with Emilio Estefan? Like it
I think
seems
it's
like,
wonderful.
yeah, so she's coming out with an album. Is that what's in the works?
Yeah, and well, right now it's a song, which we've already been discussing shooting the music video for it, and we're going back and forth with different ideas, and we're going to be shooting that very soon.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I feel like it was wonderful seeing you um with the Fyah music video and all that drama that happened with the women seemingly want to be in the video but also having their foot out the door. And you had your professional hat on and I could tell you
You
were
have to
really
understand, I,
enjoying what was going on.
that day was really hard because I only had that boat for a certain amount of time, and as we're filming, the light changes constantly.
Mhm.
So in order for me to get these shots, I have to do it relatively quickly. And the girls were getting rowdy, they were drinking. Of course, they start fighting, which there was a lot more fighting than you actually saw. And there was just drama going on everywhere. And then Kiki got into a fight with them, and Kiki started yelling at me, telling me that she didn't want to be in my music video and that she was going to sue me if I put her in the video.
Mm.
And of course, a lot of the footage that we had already shot, Kiki's right in the middle next to Adriana. So a lot of that was really difficult. And yeah, that day was hard because, like I said, I only had the boat for a little while, a few hours, and we had already had a lot of production problems that day anyway with wind, and the seas were rough, so we couldn't take the boat out, and it was a really hard day, and the girls drinking, and it just made it impossible.
Well, and like not only did you have your music video shoot, but you also have the producers and like the videographers, or not videographers, but the production crew of the Housewives. So it's kind of like a
Oh,
show
it was
within
a
a
circus.
show.
It's a
Yeah, so
total
that
circus.
must have been confusing.
Well, because I'm trying to do my real work,
Mhm.
and they're trying to do a show at the same time, and oftentimes it overlaps. And when the girls start fighting, they want to capture all that. And to be honest with you, I didn't have time for them to be fighting. I had to shoot this music video. This was a real production. Things were very expensive as far as getting a boat, crew, lighting, everything. And when I only have a tight time frame to work with, it was a little crazy at times, but we still
Yeah.
had fun.
But if there wasn't any fighting, do you think that you would have been featured as much? Like, was that, I sometimes wonder, is that a ploy for the women to make sure that certain scenes are captured?
To be honest, there was so much more that did go on, and I really don't pay attention to what they're shooting because I'm just doing my job, which was
Yeah.
trying to make this music video. And they captured a lot more, which got cut down and edited out.
Mhm.
Um, you have to understand they're constantly shooting multiple cameras, um, and recording every second that of things that take place. So what you actually see is a very, very small amount of what actually takes place.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I like bridge between your like Housewives of Miami, which you're in Miami, right? Like that's
Mhm.
your,
Yeah.
yeah, a place that I still have to visit, and I feel like I'll fall in love with it, and you know,
Well,
want to
wait a minute,
move.
where are you?
Well, I'm on Long Island,
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
which I love.
You're in
Port Jefferson.
Port Jefferson.
Yeah, I love Long Island. It's just getting through the winter is the struggle. But once like the warm weather hits, then I'm happy. And I like my seasonal shifts. Um,
I like the seasons. I can't deal with snow anymore. I used to live in
yeah.
New York.
Did you? Okay.
Oh yeah, I lived in Manhattan for a long time, so I'm very
So you
familiar.
know.
Oh
Yeah,
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 I know.
yeah. But like the chemistry that the Miami Housewives have brought is just really refreshing, I think, to even the audience. Like the way that their friendships are so intertwined, it kind of does always make me think, why isn't there a gay male reality show? Or if there is a gay male reality show, why does it never last? Like
Well,
they try. Yeah.
there have been. There used to be a show called The A-List, which
Mm.
was actually filmed in New York. And I really liked it. I enjoyed the show. I watched it. But for some reason, it just didn't have legs past a couple of seasons. I don't know why. It could be the subject matter that it's gay men, and it could have been just a little before its time. That was probably 10 years ago.
Mm.
Maybe now it might get a better reception. Daddy TV does another show which is with Stormy Daniels.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Is this the DILF show or like,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who's producer on that, so I get a little bit of insight. Um, that show I think is doing really well, but it's only on Daddy TV, which is not, it's not huge distribution. It's not like a Bravo show. I don't know why Bravo hasn't gone that route yet, but they have made major strides, with bringing on Julia and
Mhm.
Martina Navratilova as the first gay couple to be on Housewives, which I think is fantastic. I love them both. Julia is such a sweetheart. Um, and I think that was a really good introduction as far as bringing the queer community to the mainstream audiences like that.
Well, and now they have Kyle Richards and Morgan Wade. So
Wait a minute, what?
allegedly.
What? Wait a minute, I haven't been following Beverly Hills, but I
Oh,
know Kyle. I knew Kyle before she was even on Real Housewives. That's how not long I've known Kyle. I knew
oh
her
wow.
whole family. I know Paris, Nikki, um, Kathy Hilton, her husband. I mean, I knew these people way before they were even on a show.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Well,
used to
that's the whole.
I used
Oh,
to
you used.
babysit Paris and Nikki.
Did you? Wait, so you must know Bethany Frankel then, because I thought Bethany was
No,
their. Oh, she
no,
was their babysitter in Los Angeles.
really? Well,
Yeah.
I used to work for Pia Zadora and Michelle Rickless, who lived in the Pickfair estate. And Paris and Nikki used to go to school with Pia's kids. So Paris
Mm.
and Nikki would always come and hang out at our house after school or, you know, on vacation, whatever. And so they spent a lot of time with us in LA and Malibu, in New York. So um, they just grew up around our household. And
Yeah.
this is none of them were famous back then.
Hmm.
But I'm glad to see where they've gone, especially Paris. My God.
Yeah, I love her journey and her you like her documentary, all of
I haven't seen
finding
it.
her voice. Oh, it was good. Yeah. But no, basically Kyle Richards is just allegedly like she's with this country music star who she's producing her docu
Wait a minute.
series.
Kyle's gone lesbian?
Well, that's those are the allegations, or they're saying she's not yet ready to come out of the closet. Or
I
she's
don't know
bi,
about that.
which I
I
don't
don't
know.
know about
Yeah.
that. I spent the day with Kyle not that long ago in Boca. She came to Boca to do a press event, and we ended up spending the afternoon together. Um, I don't know. She's such a girly girl, and she likes her men. That would surprise me. I mean, more power to her if that's true. Um, but I don't know. I've never seen her like checking out girls, but I
Mm.
don't know. Yeah.
Well, to be continued, but like I am curious with your film producer mind,
Mhm.
um, when you're watching a show like Queer as Folk, are you more curious about the narrative arc? Are you more curious about how it's filmed, like the actual cinematography? Like what was your eye more drawn to?
Well, to be honest with you, when I was watching that particular episode 13, I was thinking about how some of the subject matter was dated, but
Mm.
yet still plays today. Um, kind of like the affair that Brian has with Kip, which takes place at work, which nowadays, after the Me Too movement, we know how taboo that is today. You do not have sex, or even you can't even do anything inappropriate with anyone that you work with, much less have an affair. And that whole thing just turned ugly. And the whole situation with Emmett trying to go straight,
Oh, yeah.
and the pressure that he was being put under by these groups of people that felt, that they could help change you to become heterosexual. I just thought was bullshit. I mean, that stuff hopefully doesn't still go on. I think it might someplace, but there's just no place in society for that today.
Yes.
It's disturbing to think that people would put that kind of pressure on anyone to try to conform to something that they're not naturally.
Mm.
I mean, we're born this way. In the words of Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Well, so the actual episode is called Very Stupid People, which
Mhm.
I guess is highlighting all of these misdirections or um false choices. I mean, Lindsay and Melanie are really going through a lot of stress together. Yeah, like you said, Kip and Brian, Emmett, and I forget the like cult leader of conversion therapy, his name of what,
I
we'll
don't
get
know
in.
his name, but
Yeah, I don't know his name either, but he's very it reminded me of like Scientology, or he says something about, oh, we're gonna go clear. And I'm like, what is he talking about? But it's that kind of brainwashing. And
brainwashing.
yes. And it
I
was
mean,
written by Drew Greenberg, and then directed by Ron Oliver. Um, but yeah, so let's go with the Emmett storyline first, because it seems like you have a lot to say about this conversion therapy.
I
Um,
found it disturbing. I mean,
yeah.
the fact that that even exists or used to exist. I'm glad to see a lot of states have outlawed that type of conversion therapy, or have put up roadblocks to not let that happen, because
Mhm.
it's horrible to do that to someone who is just trying to live their own life.
Yeah. And what was so upsetting too, I feel, Jonathan, is when he says, I'm sick to this guy.
Mhm.
Oh, and the guy says, that's why you came to see the light. And it's kind of like this religious, like they're using religion in an ill way to really take away any type of your authenticity. And that's what I just find so disturbing is like manipulative behavior of like, we're going
Of
to
course it
use
is.
Christianity against you.
Of course
Like,
it is. It's a way to
yeah.
control the masses.
Mm.
Let's
And
use religion. Let's put the fear of God into you. That's why they make up these stories like, oh, you're going to be judged when you die, on Judgment Day. You have to answer for all of your sins. It's like, really?
yeah.
Um,
And then he's looking at like he's showing Emmett pictures of when he was in drag, and he's like, "That's my." Well, no, but did you hear like the sarcastic, like his sassy moment where he's like, "And they were glamorous dresses."
yeah,
I'm like, okay, so he still does miss. He deeply misses what he
yeah.
used to have.
It's like, come on, girl. Yeah, we know.
I mean, I do find I do like the acting, like they're in on the joke in a way. Or
Oh
I
yeah,
felt like that moment. Um, it kind of
it's a great
reminds me of.
cast.
Yeah, it reminds me of like why I loved like with my boyfriend. I recently went through the like eating out catalog because I remember how profound, especially I think I forget what number it is. You might know Jonathan, but it's the one where there's like this country bumpkin type model who comes in and he's like doing the nude painting class. Um, And like they all fall for each other, and there's like this love triangle that happens.
I don't know
Okay.
this one.
Okay. But yeah, it I love that period of the early 2000s. Like we had another gay movie. Like there was just so many interesting um seeing it for the first time. Latter Day Saints or Latter Days. I think it was called Latter Days.
Latter Day.
Um Latter Days, right? Yeah. So like do you feel that it still stands up now in 2024 or is it too dated?
To me, it seems a little dated. I actually haven't watched the new season of Queer as Folk. I don't know if you have.
Mhm.
But I would be curious to see how that's adapted, because you have to figure when that was done, it was, 20 plus years ago. Um, Times have changed. We've made a lot of progress as a gay community in the past 2 decades. And it only continues to get better and to get more accepted. So some of those storylines I do think are a little dated. But some of it still holds true today, like Melanie's affair with Lindsay, uh, you know, not with Lindsay, behind Lindsay's back, and moving out and having a child. That actually could take place right now. Um, I know of couples like that who deal with those type of struggles where they have a child and one starts to stray, and next thing you know, they're breaking up. And now we've got gay marriage, which 20 years ago we didn't have anything like that. Um, so that raises a whole new, you know, amount of complications to relationships today. Hopefully for the better.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Think you know what an electric vehicle should be? Think again. From the charge time and range in the Ioniq 5 and 6 to the 601 horsepower Ioniq 5N, Hyundai is redefining what EVs should be. Learn more about Hyundai EVs at HyundaiUSA.com. EPA estimated 303-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 5 SE SEL limited rear-wheel drive and 361-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 6 SE long-range rear-wheel drive with fully charged battery. Actual range may vary.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you heard me gush and obsess over one of my favorite magazines? It's called The Gay and Lesbian Review, a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics. Yes, focusing on all things LGBTQ arts and culture. So from reviews like the new Daniel Craig film called Queer to musicals, theater, TV shows, the new January, February issue just was mailed to my house. Yes, I still get a physical copy of the magazine. There is a discussion about sodomy at the court of Louis XIV, how Mark Twain was bottom shamed. Yeah, I know. A scandalous title. I'm really curious what that means. And just so many conversations that will have you doing a Google search to find either the book that's being reviewed, the TV show that's being talked about, the film that's being discussed. I love the Gay and Lesbian Review. And they gave us an exclusive code. So all you ITBR listeners, make sure that you write down the code ITBR50. Go to glreview.org and you can get either the digital or print subscription for 50% off. Yes, 50% off. Use that code ITBR50. I hope you enjoy your reading. So you all know that I am such a fan of musical theater and classic movies. So I can't wait for you all to listen to one of my good friends' podcasts. It's called That Old Gay Classic Cinema, hosted by Christian Garcia. It's a podcast that looks at classic cinema films that we know and love. And he was inspired by Turner Classic Movies and the Great Movie Ride. Remember that amazing ride where the Wicked Witch of the West rose up in a burst of flame in Disney? That was one of my favorite rides. I'm so sad it closed. So, while looking at classic films, Christian is so excited to look at it with a queer lens. And he brings on friends like myself to talk about all of these films. I was on the first episode when we discussed The Sound of Music. I've been on an episode of Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. He just released an episode about the Philadelphia Story. He's done Meet Me in St. Louis, Sweet Charity, Psycho, Mary Poppins, Hello Dolly. He had on Down the Yellow Brick Road hosts and the Garland Gab hosts to talk about The Wizard of Oz. So make sure that you listen to That Old Gay Classic Cinema on Apple and Spotify, and follow him on TikTok and Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema. Okay, start watching the classic movies and make sure you listen to Christian's podcasts. I mean, I do like that they at least have a like lesbian family or just some type of like queer family represented in the show, because like you're saying, it does show you that there's progress made even in 2001 when this is coming out. Like they're trying to show alternative ways of having queer life. But I mean, the whole workplace issue. I mean, first, Kip is like, I feel he's trying to show you this tutorial of how to get ahead in the workplace. But like, do you agree with him, Jonathan, that as gay men, we should give each other certain privileges? Like we should help each other rise up the ladder. But the way that he's trying to do it is through sex, which is unethical.
I agree with you. I mean, yes, I do believe in supporting my community 100%. But he was on a different trajectory of basically using sex to get ahead in the workplace and then using it against his boss after he was the one that initiated the whole thing from the beginning. So he was basically trying to set Brian up from the beginning to make sure, or at least attempted to get a promotion, which he didn't end up getting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, but
yeah, it's textbook quid pro quo.
Yes, but you know what? That also used to take place in the straight community as well. Women have done that to men. And for all I know, it could still go on, where men are put into those situations where, like you said, quid pro quo. You give me something, I'll give you something. And then later on, they try to frame you with it.
Yeah. Well, even in Jonathan's film, Smothered by Mothers, streaming on Amazon, there's a lot of those types of power imbalances. But it's not like only the man who's the sports star who's like using his power against these women and having affairs. It's like they also now, are pregnant and trying to get money from him. And it's like an interesting, comedy of errors because it's a comedy. But I think in a way,
Did you like the attorney? Did you like the attorney who was getting the money? You know who she is, right?
I couldn't she
That's
seemed recognizable.
She's from Parks and Rec, not Parks and Rec. What am I saying? Big Bang Theory. She's Raj's mom on Big Bang Theory.
She was funny.
I just love her on Big Bang Theory. Like whenever she would come on, her facial expressions. And when we were casting for that role, a friend, actually one of my crew members said, Alice Amter? She's a friend of mine. I was like, oh my God, Raj's mom. I was like, I had just watched her the night before. And I was like, we want her. We want her. We want her. And I was like, get her on the phone. And we made her an offer immediately and flew her to where we were shooting, like instantly, because I was such a fan of Big Bang Theory. And I just had to have her.
Yeah. Well, and you also have Heather Matarazzo, right?
Right.
Yeah,
She's another one that I had to
she's
have.
hilarious. Her facial expressions, it's always painted. I mean, even when she did the Princess Diaries, right? Like
Mhm.
from an early age too. She's always had that comedic spark.
Did you ever see like one of her first films? It's called Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Have to watch it. I heard
Oh,
she's
she's a
incredible.
young girl in that, and she is hysterical. She's another one who I've just been a fan of for so long that I had to have her. When I read the script, she was the person that I immediately thought of for the role of Annie. I was like, we got to try to get her. And people were like, who is she? Who is she? And I was like, from this movie, from that movie, from this one. And I did everything I could to get Heather. She was definitely my choice. She was the person that I had to have. She was one of the earlier people that we cast, just because I again was such a fan of hers. Actually, we had somebody from your neighborhood, Burt Young, who lived in your town that you live in now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
You know Burt Young? He's now passed away, but he starred in all the Rocky films with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen him. He was also in another film that I adored called The Pope of Greenwich Village, which was actually kind of hot when he was younger. But he was, he's Academy Award nominee. But yeah, he lived in your town, Port Jefferson.
So funny. Yeah. I mean, I know near me is Ralph Macchio lives near me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, Edie Falco is in Northport. There's like
Love her.
Yeah, the Long Islanders.
Mhm.
But I do think that with Kip, this is where with Brian, I always struggle, John or Jonathan, but if I can call you John, whatever you prefer, Jonathan. I'm gonna
Usually
go back and forth.
Jonathan.
I'm gonna call you Jonathan. I know.
Okay.
I was looking at your Zoom name, and then I'm like, it like triggered my mind. Okay. But yeah, when Kip says basically, that you've been like the word you have a reputation, or like he keeps implying that he knows what Brian is doing with other men. I mean, Brian has made himself a scarlet letter. Like Brian is the one who's also always broken these HR violations. So like I always just wonder, yeah, like how much is Brian actually to blame for like getting involved in all of this just messiness, or is Brian a victim? Like I feel like he's kind of all over the place.
Well, he's kind of both.
Yeah.
But Brian's character he's a hoe. He is a male hoe. He's a hoe throughout the entire run of the show. I mean, that's his character. He's I don't know, is there a word for, instead of a womanizer, he's a manonizer? I don't know. But he likes to seduce people. Once he realized Kip was into him, you saw in that episode, he said that he likes to be the one in control. He likes to be the one to take what he wants. He didn't want to be taken. He wanted to be in charge. He wanted to go after Kip. But Kip made the first move, and Brian didn't like that. Brian wanted to be the boss. He wanted to be the aggressor. So is he the victim? No.
Yeah, Kip used his own playbook, against him.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Kip is pretty with it and intellectual, I feel like, but well, I don't know. What do you think? We don't really get a lot of Justin in this episode, but we do get Justin in Brian's place, and then like Justin spying on seeing who's the guy going into Brian's place. Like, what do you think
of? I didn't quite get that. I was like, he's looking, but he didn't seem to really care. like I was thinking, did they have some sort of a falling out? Like I didn't really understand why he was so disconnected from Brian at that point. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so another part that I had to ask you about is, what do you just think about even the crazed party scenes? Like when Brian actually sees Kip having sex in Babylon, like what do you think of just the way that they're showing this fantasy? Like, is this something that you think we've kind of I don't want to say outgrew, because it's fine to have like, consensual crazed orgies or things, but do you think that that was just like a moment in time showing that like,
I
erotic
think,
behavior?
well, I mean, you still see stuff like that in films today, and I think back then it was shock factor. It was a way to get really recognized. Um, but I don't know if people want to see stuff quite so graphic all the time, and that can actually turn off part of an audience. What was that really big gay movie that came out like a year or two ago, where they showed like a lot of sex, with, God, I can't think of his name. But it was a huge movie. Bros. Thank you.
Oh, Bros. Yeah, yeah.
So, but I think you remember Bros was like the first studio film with a big budget, and they ended up including a lot of sex the way Queer as Folk did. And I think it turned off a lot of people to where the film didn't do as well as it could have. I think because it made a certain segment of the audience uncomfortable. So I don't know. I mean, yes, as a gay community, we're making major strides all the time. But do we need to put it all out there like that and maybe scare people off? I don't know. I think there's sometimes you need to be careful to walk that tightrope.
Yeah. Well, even Saltburn caused a sensation with its sexual content, but like
that shocked me in Saltburn. I mean,
did it? What shocked you?
Oh my God, when he started fucking the grave, I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, that was
oh
wild.
my God. First of all, I love the guy who plays the lead. He's so sexy. And when he starts dancing naked throughout the house at the end of the movie, I was like, oh, I am in love.
And I think that was actually his, they didn't have a prosthetic. I don't think they had a prosthetic.
No,
they did in Queer as Folk,
this
scene.
That was
in Queer as Folk, they had a lot of prosthetics.
He did it for the art. And I love that movie. I thought it was brilliant. But the one thing that did shock me was the grave.
The grave
scene.
Fucking. Yeah. That was
like,
very.
Oh my God. I can't believe they just went there. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and it's because it's not erotic. It's this, sociopathic behavior of, he's losing touch with reality. Like something's clearly, his neural synapses are not functioning.
Yes.
But I did want to ask you, because I have to, one of my favorite moments in this episode, because it does remind me of avant-garde theater that I've seen before, like where I saw two guys completely nude, like this whole play off Broadway, and they were like showering on stage. But it actually was almost like All of Us Strangers, which I still have to watch, but I've seen like parts of All of Us Strangers. It was a very touching play. It wasn't like this 12 angry men gone into naked boys singing. Like I didn't know what was happening in this scene in the episode. So like, what did you think of the porn star trying to take center stage?
Well, there was actually a series. There was a play that went around for a while, and they did sort of stunt casting where they put different gay porn star, as the lead. I'm trying to think of what the name of the film was, the name of the show. I don't know. I can't think right now, but I liked it. I think it worked. It worked for the episode. I thought it was fun. Again, a little bit of shock factor. They did use prosthetic on the main porn star guy. I actually thought it looked kind of silly because it was an obvious dildo hanging.
It was a dildo. I was like, what is this?
I was like, okay, that's a little creepy looking, but okay. He must have had something in his contract, like a no nudity clause, which a lot of actors do. But obviously the extras didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the extras. They didn't have a prosthetic, but he did.
Yeah.
Maybe also because he had to live up to like the name of like how he's like known for a 12-inch cock, or I don't even know how long, but that was definitely more than that was a huge dildo. But how have you negotiated, Jonathan? Like, have you had to deal with nudity clauses, or like where does that exist now in the industry in terms of how actors negotiate?
Actually, you're seeing it more and more lately. There are several actually really big actors who will not do nudity at all, and they're very strict about their nudity clauses. I mean, it's something to be taken seriously, and a lot of actors, especially as they become more famous, don't want to be objectified, especially women. They don't want to be objectified for their bodies, and they want to be taken seriously for their talent. And I support them with that. I mean, I guess it really depends on the script and the project, because like you said, with Saltburn, it worked. It just worked. The nudity worked. And it was his free spirit that really, was captured by him running around naked and dancing around this mansion. It was wonderful. It was beautiful to watch. But yeah, as far as nudity, you definitely see that a lot. A lot of actors don't want to do nudity. But it's different for every project. And like I said, I think if it's for the art, I think people are a lot more accepting of it. But if it's just something that's going to be a sex scene and it's borderline pornographic, that's when it becomes problematic. Especially for actors that are, concerned about what's going to be their next film after this project is finished. So, like I said, if it's for the art and it's done tastefully, a lot of times it's not a problem.
Yeah, or if like, right, James Franco was in King Cobra, or it's a film about the porn industry. I always find that must be an interesting navigating that type of project. But I think if you're an actor, you know what you're going to sign up for. Like, when they had like, Amanda Seyfried did Linda Lovelace's biopic. So like, if you know that you're going to have to deal with Deep Throat, there's going to be some conversations around nudity. But like, do you think that? Yeah,
but I'm a huge fan of Amanda Seyfried.
She's good.
She's amazing.
Yeah. But like, do you think that there is a difference between how men like navigate even just sexual content, or if you're a gay man in the industry, do you feel like you're probably going to have to be nude at some point?
I think that's a personal choice that the actor has to make. Me personally, I don't have a nude nudity. I go to nude beaches. Brandy and I were talking about that. I wanted to bring Brandy to a nude beach. And
I go too, Jonathan. Actually, what? So I go to Fire Island.
It's beautiful. But like this next film that I've done, where I act in it, I'm nude in that film, but it's done tastefully. And I've done films before where I had a sex scene with someone, and I did this film where I was supposed to be in a relationship with this guy, and we were supposed to have this sex scene, and come to find out, the actor that was playing my boyfriend was homophobic.
Oh,
Ouch!
that definitely changes everything.
That
Wow.
it became a disaster.
Wait,
It
when
was
did you find this out? Like after he had already read the script,
as
or
we were rehearsing the day we were shooting. Yeah, that actor had major issues with being touched. Um, while he's supposed to be my boyfriend, we're supposed to have a sex scene, and I was shocked that he was homophobic. And I basically had a very serious conversation with the director and was like, what were you thinking? Hiring someone who's homophobic to play my boyfriend? I was like, why would he even want to play this part? So
that's a good question.
yes,
Why,
but that's
why did
water
he
under the
agree?
bridge. That
Oh
film
my
is,
goodness.
that was a long time ago, and I've moved way beyond that. But this next film that I'm doing, the Bear movie,
Oh yes, yes. What is it called, Jonathan?
it's the production company in Italy just renamed it, and I believe the new title is Bear Week Stories. I think it's called Bear Week Stories.
Okay.
Anyway, in that film, I do have love scenes. I am nude in that, but it's tasteful. It's art. It's not pornography. It's for the better of the project.
Yeah, it makes artistic sense in the context,
Yes,
is
of
what
course.
you're
Like
saying.
I'm not interested in producing or making pornography. This was for it was right for the film.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, and because you know, are in Miami, or even I'm sure like there's a big gay OnlyFans community. I dabbled in OnlyFans a little just, well, before my boyfriend, just in case he's listening to this. I don't have an OnlyFans now, but that's just something we talk about.
I remember when
Uh,
you went there. I do remember when I didn't
you
join,
remember I did
but I do
I
remember when you were
explored
doing it.
it. Well, because it was like actually very empowering when I was like just on my self-discovery journey of my own, like owning my body. And like it was a good way for me to work through like trauma around my body and, all of these different
I get it.
reasons you might do it.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it wasn't really the money because, like, to be lucrative, it takes, you have to really, I feel, already have a platform of a name behind you. And if you don't, it can be, it's like you're just trying to enter a saturated field.
Mhm.
Especially if you're a man, I feel, on OnlyFans. It's like a whole other uh navigation. But yeah, I do think like, you probably know those in the porn industry who are producers or directors, or maybe you don't, but I'm just curious, like, do you feel like there are major different questions you would ask as like a gay porn director or producer than you would in like what you direct, like with Smothered by Mothers, or like there's just different concerns?
I don't do porn. And I, I have, uh, I mean, we all look at porn. Let's be honest. But I don't make porn, so it's not really my industry. I don't judge it in any way. It's just not the platform that I,
Yeah.
work in. So I don't really know.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a fair answer. Um, but okay, so I feel like as we're wrapping up, just what do you think about, we talked about what was going on with Kip, but what do you think about just this whole like ending us in a lurch about he's now going to sue Brian and the company for sexual harassment? Like, will he be successful, you think?
Hopefully not. I don't know because I didn't see the episode after that. Um, I hope not because he's the one who initiated it, and he was basically setting Brian up the whole time for this to either get the job that he desperately wanted, or for a lawsuit. So I hope either way he doesn't get what he wanted, because he was doing it with malicious intent.
You guys, everything at Abercrombie is 25% off right now. I seriously can't remember the last time they had a sale this good. And if you're like me, your cart is about to turn into a massive haul. Use code SPOTIFYAF for an extra 15% off through March 31st, 2025. Valid in US and Canada. Excludes clearance and gift cards. See details online. 25% off everything is valid in US and Canada through March 31st, 2025. Excludes clearance and gift cards. Online price reflects discount.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on turbotax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
As an English professor, I would have no idea where to begin with books to assign to my students. So I absolutely love Broadview Press, who is celebrating their 40th anniversary. Broadview Press, they publish classic works of literature, academic, humanities books. I've read so many of their books, and I've always loved whatever conversations being discussed, from the philosophy of sport, indigenous philosophy and Native American culture, vampire literature, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, new edition that just came out just in time for Wicked fandom, folk and fairy tales. My students love the different Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood fairy tales that we discussed. They always have a really exciting collection. So head on over right now to broadviewpress.com. Use the exclusive code that they gave us, Ivory Tower, for 20% off all of your orders. I hope you enjoy your reading, and please let me know and DM me with the books that you're getting from Broadview Press, because I'd love to share it with Dylan from Broadview Press, who always is curious to see what the Ivory Tower Boiler Room community is purchasing. So enjoy your reading, and I hope you discover even more exciting humanities works. Okay, so we've ended the Queer as Folk, to be continued with the next episode. But I do have to ask, before you leave, Jonathan, you know, if there are those out there who are listening, watching, who, you know, like Brandi Glanville, have this dream to be in more scripted TV or scripted film, like, how do you get past because this is something I asked myself, Jonathan, like, I have a musical theater background, and I've only done a little, like, in film or like learning training, because I'm sure, as you know, Jonathan, theater training is different than film training. Yeah. And like getting ready for that camera right in your face or in your proximity. How do you rise above like the body image issues that can come about, like just feeling like you're always on display and trying to feel good about yourself?
Well, it comes from self-confidence. It's also maybe because I'm older now, but I sort of have that I don't give a fuck attitude anymore. And that's kind of the way you have to be. You just have to be yourself. And like, I think it's a lot easier to be an actor in front of a camera than it is to be a stage actor. Those people really bust their ass. I mean, I admit I could never remember 3 hours dialogue for a show. Like, I have such tremendous respect for any actor who does theater work, because they work much harder. It's much more difficult job to do than someone who's just in front of a camera, because if you screw it up, you can just do it again. If you're in front of a camera, you know, that's why we keep doing, you know, take one, take two, take three. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until until it's right. And hopefully you have a good director that's coaching you along. And even better, the editor who's able to put it all together for you and make you look good. Because in theater, they don't have that luxury.
No.
Those people are really busting their ass and they work so hard. And I think being in front of a camera, you sort of just have to pretend the camera's not there and just focus on the scene and whoever the acting partner is that you have, and just let it flow and just not really pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah. So are you saying, Jonathan, that there's some movie magic that can definitely help glamorize you that's different than in stage acting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In film, we have all the tricks. We have all the tricks of the trade. We have, lighting, sound, everything to be able to manipulate it to get the best possible performance, as opposed to theater, stage actors. They don't have that luxury. They got one shot to go out there and to remember their lines. If you don't remember your lines when you're making a movie, we just go cut. They read the lines to you and you just repeat them. I mean, it's a lot easier than these stage actors. Those people really bust their ass.
Yeah. Well, and do you feel like reality TV stars, like, say, because you know the orbit so well, I feel like they're actually in a really interesting dilemma in a way, because like this is actually who they are in real life, and they're not, behind a facade of a character. Like they can't say like, no, I'm Adriana, the character. It's like, no, this is actually her life. But yet the public is scrutinizing her as a character and probably will never meet who she, like, actually have a sit down over coffee with her. So it's hard to like sometimes have that human connection. So you think of them as artificial people. Like, how do you think reality stars get through just that sludge of being scrutinized?
Well, a lot of it has to be quick thinking. You have to understand they're not given scripts. So, they're put into situations and they'll get minor guidance of, what we're doing in this scene or what we're doing, at this location. But it's really up to the actor or the, say with Housewives, it's up to the ladies to really be quick on their feet with the dialogue and sort of make it up as they go. A lot of it is what they're really dealing with in real life. But as you know, in order for it to be interesting for television, they've got to spice it up a little bit.
They have to turn the volume up to like past 100.
Yes.
Whatever's on the inside, you need to bring out on the outside and speak it. Yeah. But like,
that's why I think this cast for Real Housewives of Miami is great, because they're all really friends in real life. I can attest to that. And I think they got a really good dynamic happening right now. I think it's a good cast. It's a strong cast. And they're funny.
Yeah. And I have a feeling like anyone, who's a housewife, like Erica Jane, who can be on camera, like if there is a theatricality, they do tend to have that charisma on screen. Like Lisa Rinna, I mean, you can tell that they do have a certain, not saying acting training necessarily makes you a better reality star, but it can't hurt, in my opinion.
Lisa Rinna was already an actress. I mean, in a good one. She was on a hit show. So, yeah, I mean, she definitely has the chops for it. But no, you're right. A lot of these women don't have acting experience, and they sort of make it up on the fly. And a lot of them are really good at it. I know the Miami cast is great. I'm very impressed with this group of ladies that's on there right now.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Well, Jonathan, where can everyone, follow you on social media, make sure that they can like watch your oeuvre of films that you've been behind, or even watch, this Bear film that's going to come out soon, which I can't wait for because you have a big part in it. So I'm excited for
Yes,
that.
I do. Yes, I do. The new film is called Bear Week Stories, and it should be out this summer,
Okay.
just in time for Bear Week in Provincetown,
Oh, there we go.
and which is where it was filmed. And you can follow me on Instagram, Jonathan Yaskoff on Instagram, pretty easy to find, or on IMDb, and you can see all the projects that I work on.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. And I'll have to like, you know, get to P-Town and make sure I watch your film. I've never been to P-Town. I've only done my Fire Island excursions. So
Different.
it's different, right? Yeah.
There's a lot more to do in P-Town than there is Fyah. There's a lot more shops, there's a lot more bars and restaurants and things like that.
Like it's more of a downtown, right?
Yeah, it's an old Portuguese village.
Cool.
And there's one like main street that everybody walks up and down, but it's got art galleries. It's super charming. It's a fun atmosphere. It's clean fun. It's not messy fun. It's not like Miami, like wild. It's everything shuts down at 2.
Oh. See, my boyfriend wants to get me to South Beach, so I have a feeling that's like when you talk about party atmosphere, and I don't drink, so I feel like
I don't drink either.
Oh, okay. But I still have a good, even though you've like, I said we were ending, but I just have to ask, do you think that I would still like have a good time if I want to see the art scene, like the museums and like, is there enough to do in Miami?
There's tons to do in Miami.
Okay.
Miami, like the New York with a beach. There's always something going on. There's always a different event every week, whether it's a music festival, art festival, boat show, there's constant different things going on every week. So you won't be bored.
Yeah. So if I'm a huge fan of the beach life and the city life, Miami is then like the dream place to be.
I mean, it can be a little crowded sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll take this off air, Jonathan, and I'll like in an
We'll
Instagram
discuss
message,
later.
pick your brain about like when I should come to Miami and like avoid too much like chaos.
Well, Gay Pride is coming up.
Oh, okay. When is Gay Pride?
April.
Oh, okay.
I think April 4th and 5th.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking of trying to do Miami in the fall next year.
Okay.
Like something when it's not spring break time, which I know would be wild.
I avoid spring break time. It's borderline dangerous. I hate to say that. I mean, there's been shootings, people get arrested. The city's trying to crack down on spring break just because it gets so out of control. It gets so crowded. They've even increased the parking fees to $100 a car to park.
Wow.
To try to keep people away. But all it does is it causes people to stuff 8 people in a car to come over.
Yeah, no, you're not going to probably see me in a car. I'm going to be that person trying to walk around South Beach everywhere, which I think you can do. And they do have public
it's
transit.
very walkable. It's very walkable.
Yeah, so, that's all I need. As long as it's walkable, then it's a place for me.
You might actually enjoy Fort Lauderdale too.
See,
which is
maybe
only
that's where
like
I should
18
go.
miles up the coast.
Okay.
Maybe split your time between both. But
There we
Fort
go.
Lauderdale's got a larger gay community. And Wilton Manors is kind of like the sister city to Provincetown. It's again one main drag with lots of bars and gay businesses and art galleries and restaurants. It's fun. It's fun.
Okay, lots of options. Okay, well, everyone who's still listening, I'm going to be keeping you all updated about what I do in Florida eventually. But Jonathan, if you're ever on Long Island or Fire Island, like you have to let me know if you're coming this way.
I shall.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jonathan. This was great.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.